Welcome back to another episode of Make Your Big Impact. I am your host, Angel Tuccy. And have you thought about what it means to be a great podcast guest? Seems like there's not a lot of resources out there. If you start to Google it, everything you look for is all about giving benefits and tips and tricks to the podcast host. But if you're going to leverage your message, your method, your story across a platform that reaches hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, just with the ability to be on a single podcast as a podcast guest, you're going to want to make sure that you are making the biggest impact that you can and showing up as the best guest. In fact, as the guest they won't forget and in a good way. And recently I had the pleasure of interviewing Steve Gallegos for a workshop that he hosted, a masterclass library in our Podlicity community. And so I want to share that interview with you here today because I think it's super valuable. And if you're looking for more tips, if you're a thought leader and expert, make sure you subscribe to the Make Your Big Impact podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking to create more visibility before breakfast, grab my blueprint at visibilitybeforebreakfast.com. Let's get into the interview.
Let's go.
Let's go. Well, hello, Podlicity friends. We have another great guest for you in this masterclass library. I have Steve Gallegos. He is the master of self mastery. And today we're talking about how to become the podcast guest that no one forgets. And Steve, I have to tell you, I am so excited for you to be teaching this because this is my jam. Like, this is my favorite thing for people to become a guest on podcasts, but really how to become an incredible guest. So, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Angel, I had no idea that that's what you do and that's what you talk about. Wrong, 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 wrong. Well, thank you. And before we dive in, I want your audience to know something about you. You didn't just introduce me, you set up essentially everything what we're going to talk about by doing the thing that the best hosts always do, and you made this about the audience before you made it about me, the guest, right? And that's exactly what we're going to do today is show your audience how to show up and be the guest that the host will always remember and that the audience will say, where can I find that person again? I want to listen to him or her because they were just fabulous.
And there
So
is it's a collaboration. It isn't just about getting a guest or just getting a show, being a guest. There is a lot, there's some nuances to it. And so Steve, let's start at the beginning because most people who get booked on a podcast, they think their job is just to show up and talk about just what they know. But what do you think they're missing?
what most people are missing is partly the fault of the podcasting community of the um, uh, the material that's available out there that teaches people how to produce podcasts, get on podcasts, and those kinds of things. There's nothing out there that teaches a guest how to be a guest. There's a lot of material out there that teaches podcast hosts how to be a host, how to launch it, all the technical items, and those kinds of things that go into producing a show and producing a profitable show, how to market it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and even how to go out and find guests, right? And whether you should monetize your show or not. However, for the guests, they're left without a roadmap. And so we're building this roadmap right here in this particular session and in other things that we're doing. And the first thing that I want everybody who's interested in guesting, whether you've been a guest before, whether you're a new guest on a show, is that you are not there to promote yourself. Now, they may go thinking, well, what
They're
the
going to be
heck?
like, then why am I here, right?
Yeah, I just wrote a book. I'm on a TV show. I'm on a film. I'm doing this, that, or the other. I'm not there to promote myself. What are you talking about, Steve? Uh, You're not there to promote yourself. You're there to serve the audience that you don't get to see because most of these shows are not live, right? So you're there to serve that person, that gentleman that's in his truck driving to work at 6 in the morning, the woman who's on her treadmill listening to you, listening to us, right, at 5 in the morning before she has to go and deal with the kids, the guy at the parking lot who needs to hear something that reminds him that he is capable and that he is much more than the limitations that he places on himself. Those are the people that you are talking to. That's who we are there for. And we need to keep a clear vision and picture of that person, of that lady, that woman, that girl, that boy, clear in mind before we ever step into the studio to begin offering anything. Because the great irony of podcast guesting is that guests who promote themselves get promoted the least. But when you show up with your hands open and ready to give and deliver value, then your host will be the one to talk about you because he or she will be, just so excited because you came ready to deliver and to elevate the show and the audience. So your job as a guest is not to be impressive. I mean, you already are, right? That's why you're being invited to be a guest on a show, but your job is to be useful. So find out from the guest, how can I be the most useful for you and your audience? Those are two very different things, right? Being going on there to promote something and talk about yourself and your accolades and your achievements and where you're going and those kinds of things. Audiences don't want to hear that anymore. They're just sick and tired of people that are just on and on and on and on and on and about me. They're only concerned about themselves and what they're having to deal with that day. And the host of the show is the bridge between you and that audience.
Oh, for sure, the host is because they come like they already have a relationship or they already follow that host. They already trust that host and that trust transfers automatically over to the guests. But you're right. It's what we bring. It's what we bring to the table. And we have to continue to add that value. I remember when I was in radio, I just always remembered I was talking to my mom, because I couldn't see my audience, but it helped me to just think of somebody who was really interested, who was friendly, right? I had somebody I could picture who I was talking to, so I wasn't just talking at, right? I was actually talking, with that person. And so you talk a lot about preparation, but I think a lot of times most guests think that I just need to know my talking points, right? Like, but what do you think real preparation really looks like? And why does it matter more than the guests even realize?
That's beautiful. Real preparation is goes well beyond knowing your topic. I mean, you're supposed to know your topic. You live and breathe it. You write about it. You speak about it. You teach it. You work in that environment. And so no one should, there should be no question as to whether or not you know your topic or not. Here's the thing that you need to walk away with is that the host of the show wants to be seen, heard, and understood just as much, if not more, than you do, which is why he or she is producing the show, right? But most guests don't think about that. So real preparation means knowing who's in the room, knowing who the audience is well before you get there. So in the case of the host, it's not just knowing their name, but oh my goodness, how to say it, right? Angel Tuccy. Tuccy is not a very common name, and it's not Smith or Jones or Gallegos, which is very easy to say, right? And so I'm sure, Angel, that you've had people just, you know,
Slaughter the name for sure.
slaughter the name, right? And you have to on air say, well, it's Tuccy, not the way that they pronounced it, right? Things like that are just very critical and important, just as you would want a host to know how to pronounce your name. Other important things to know are who the host actually is, right? Where they grew up, for example, what they did before the podcast, what challenges they may have overcome, what they're building right now, what their mission is, what their last Instagram post is, right? What their first podcast was like to today, right?
See, this is a game changer because I think that so often people are lazy about this, right? They just want to rush and get on that show and get in, and they don't do like any of this preparation. I don't think like they don't. This is mind blowing to me.
It's and I'm glad that you're bringing that up. And the reason is because we're building connection, we're building relationship. I'm coming on your show, for example, to gain a new audience. You are, as the host of the show, who's built this empire, who's built this platform, at much cost, at much sacrifice of your time, taking away from your family and those kinds of things in order to produce a show and bring people like me on the show. You're giving me a platform, you're giving me a gift, and I'm not going to honor you by knowing Angel. I can't believe that, you used to be a shy little girl who was afraid to announce her name at that over the school's PA system the first time that you were invited for the opportunity to be an announcer at your high school. And to see it today, having produced, 16, 18 books and just speaking all over the world and being one of the premier podcast hosts in the world and being celebrated as you are as the entrepreneurial woman and being probably the second biggest fan of Disneyland that I know, right? Of Disney World, right? Why wouldn't I want to honor you by knowing those things about you because it brings you into the conversation, it brings you into the fold, it makes you human, not just, a person behind a microphone that's producing a show, right? And it also gives us things to talk about, some wonderful things to talk about
Oh
that
my gosh,
are
Steve, you
out
have
of the usual.
definitely done your homework, leading by example here. This isn't just theory for you. This is what you walk and talk. Like you can see that. I do want to ask you this next question though, because I've seen you do this, completely took me by surprise. But when a host gives a guest the floor, like when they give the guest the floor to promote themselves, usually the guest goes on a tirade, but you do something that nobody else does. Tell us exactly what it is that you do and why you do it.
Angel, this is what I call you. You've been invited to dinner parties before.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have. Probably every day of the
Mhm.
every weekday you get invited.
I
Angel,
was going to
please come
say
over.
that the invitations are far more frequent now that I live in Orlando.
Oh yeah,
I will tell you that people come to town all the time and I get invited to, yes, multiple dinners now that I live in Orlando.
yeah. And it's a beautiful town to live in, right? And so people do want to visit it, and so I'm not surprised. But they invite you not because they're in Orlando. They invite you because you are you, and you just produce magic everywhere you go. But what we're referring to here, in response to your question, is what I refer to as the dinner party invitation principle. When someone invites you to their home for dinner, it's not only polite, but it's the right thing to do to ask what?
What
What
can
can
I
I bring
bring?
to share?
Yes.
Now, most hosts are going to say, "Oh, nothing. Just bring yourself, right? Just be there at 7 or 8 or whatever." No, we have everything covered. Don't worry about it. No, 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 no. Don't you ever, 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 and this, take this, I mean, yes, take this to your grave. Don't you ever show up empty-handed. You always bring something thoughtful and shareable anyway, whether it's a bottle of wine, a bottle of juice, or whatever is appropriate for the occasion, flowers, dessert, something to share, something to contribute, something that says, I see what you're doing here, and I'm so grateful that you've decided or thought enough of me to include me in this, so I want to honor your invitation. Well, being invited to a podcast show is much the same, whether you do the outreach and get on the show or whether the host outreaches you to invite you directly without, knowing you, for example. The guest seat is wherever you're invited, right? Whether it's a podcast show, television show, a live workshop, a live stage presentation, a radio show, whatever, it works the same way. So, yeah, I'm obviously not going to bring flowers and a bottle of wine to this podcast. No, but what I'm referring to is uh,
I was going to say, but you did bring me a gift.
I sent you a gift. Yes.
Yes, right. And I don't know if you want to hold on to what like you sent me a message and you did a thing and I'm like, do you do that thing for all of the shows that you're on, Steve?
I, well, what you're referring to is no.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
No.
wow. I'm like that that was going to be a really heavy lift because it was so personal to me. It meant something to me. But then I thought, oh, like this is the thing that you do for everybody. But
No.
wow, you did bring me a gift. So I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited too. So what I'm getting to is, okay, the invitation is during the part of the episode when the show says, Steve, tell our audience what you're up to, what you're doing, what you're excited about, and where they can connect with you, right? That's an invitation for you, of course, but the biggest mistake you can do is just say, "Oh, thank you," and I'm appearing here and I'm appearing there, and I wrote this and I wrote that, and I just made $1 million, and I just did this, and I just bought a new. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. The person listening on that treadmill or driving to work, they really don't care. Okay? But what you can do and what you should do is say, Angel, and this is what I do that I don't know anybody else that does it. And the reason I know that is because I've been told by over 100 hosts that whose shows I've been on, Steve, no one's ever done that. And what I do is I'll say something like when you invite me to, talk about myself or share where the audience can connect with me, I'll say, Angel, thanks for that opportunity. But first, I have an ask for your audience. And that is, I want your audience to reach out to you, to call you, to email you, to find you however they find you, and thank you for producing this show, for introducing them to me, for introducing them to all of the other fantastic guests that you've had on the show. Because I know it takes time to produce and energy and sacrifice, and you're not doing this for the money, right? You're doing this to elevate your audience and build community and build connection and build relationships. You're doing this for them as much as you are for you. Okay. And so to for someone to be able to do that, um, it just you recognizing the host, right? And so this is a way for you to get the host's audience to engage with the host because that's why they're doing this, right? They want likes and shares as much as you do of that particular episode. And so, you go on and you invite the audience to contact Angel, and then you might say something like, and Angel, because you're going to be so busy fielding phone calls and emails and those kinds of things, for those members of your audience who do want to get in touch with me, well, they can find me on the web, steviegsuccess.com, or I'm on Instagram. Just say something simple like that, and the people who want to connect with you, they will. They will lift rocks in order to find you, right? You don't have to give every single website or every single social media account. Just one or two is fine. And another thing I would recommend is when you do send people to your website, don't send them somewhere where they don't have to sign up for anything. In other words, don't ask for anything in advance. I know a lot of marketers say, "Oh, no one should go to your website until they or access anything on your website until they give you name, phone number, rank and serial number kind of stuff." No, send them to a free resource on your website so that they can build a relationship with you first, right? And then you begin the ask.
So I will tell you that is a unique step for me, Steve, right? You're putting in a little bridge in between the goal for a lot of the guests, right? They want to grow their audience. And so even if it's not to an opt-in page or something that they have to opt in, I do love the idea of giving them something, right? Rather than just sending them to somebody else's castle, right? Get them into
Right.
your castle, right? Send them places that, back to your site, even if they're going to get that freebie there. I'm just not a big fan of sending them over to your social media because then they get lost and there's so many distractions there. But we can talk about that but I love the idea that you're adding value and you're building relationships and before you ask for something, right? Let's put some change in our pocket before we ask for something. Steve,
Exactly.
you have four specific words that you say most guests say and you want them to retire them forever. What are they, and why do you feel so strongly about that?
Oh my, the dirty four. And this is the equivalent of asking somebody, "Hey, how are you?" and then continuing running off at the mouth and not waiting for them to respond to say, I'm good, I'm bad, I got a headache, or, I hung over, whatever the case may be. Or even worse, it's what I view stepping on stage in front of a large audience and saying, how's everybody doing? Because everybody knows that you're not talking to them and you're not expecting an answer. And so you're just wasting your breath asking a question like that. And so the reference that I'm making to this uh, topic that we're talking about is when a guest or when a host introduces you and they say something like, Steve, welcome to the show, or thank you for being here. The next words out of your mouth are usually, oh, thanks for having me. What does that mean? And then you drop it back to the host to awkwardly begin the show or the next question. No, you're the guest. This is your room now. This is your audience and your show at this point, right? Figuratively speaking, where you now take command of the room. And so I urge you, please, to drop those 4 words because it's wasted air. It tells the audience nothing about who you are, what you're doing there, why they should continue listening to you, what your energy is, right? Or what's coming up next in the episode. These are the first 60 seconds of that episode is the most valuable real estate for you because that's when the person with the headphones on the other side in the treadmill in the car in traffic that just got cut off by somebody else, another rude driver. I know they don't have rude drivers in Orlando, Florida.
They're
But
just lost here.
yeah, because they're looking for the signs, they're looking for the exit to Disney World. But the reality is that we, as you know, we've got so much going on in our minds while we're trying to tap into the show, thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to make my drive to work, my commute to work useful, and I'm going to listen to Angel's show this morning because I listened to a couple episodes and I liked it, and now I want to continue and see where this thing goes, what I can learn. And so the audience is looking for magic, right? They're looking for something different. They're looking for someone to snap them out of this, just this subconscious, continuous roll of the hamster wheel that they're in, right? And so if you just waste it by saying, oh, thanks for having me. Ah, and that goes nowhere? No, it leaves the host hanging as well. And so what you do is this instead. You say, instead of saying thanks for having me, you can do a couple of things. You can open with a question. You can segue into the topic that you're going to speak about by giving an example of what it is that you're going to speak about, or flow into a story that you leave an open loop, right? So you just tell part of the story, and I'll share an example of what that might look like. For example, open with a specific reason that you're on the show. So Angel says, Steve, thank you for being here. I'll say, Angel, I've been so looking forward to this one because what you're building with Podlicity, I know, and I've researched this. You're filling a gap that no one else is filling. And you're not just teaching people how to get booked, you're teaching them how to show up. And that's exactly what you and I are going to talk about today. Now, you
Oh,
see what that
yeah,
does?
right. Yes, the audience now is they know what you're here to bring, and it wasn't just a wasted volley, right, of back and forth. And Steve, you are an extraordinary storyteller, even in this. I think when you look at any of the reviews that you've ever been a guest on, that's what the hosts mostly talk about, and we're witnessing it here. You are really amazing at telling a story, but. So can you give us some tips? Like, what's an example of like a story that lands versus just a story that takes up time?
The difference is a story that lands, for example, might be something honest, something genuine that you actually experience. But the difference is that you bring the audience in to the story.
Mm.
Whereas a story that just takes up time is when you might say, well, um, I overcame adversity and now I help other people overcome adversity. And if you listen to this and if you sit here with us, you're going to learn how to overcome adversity. All you got to do is believe in yourself, right? That's not a story, but a lot of people, that's how a lot of people speak. It's what a lot of people think they're sharing. Whereas a version of a story that works might sound like this. The driest air here in Colorado, so
I
it's very
remember.
nice. Yeah, that's right. You used to live here in Highlands Ranch too.
Yes.
So a story that lands would be, for example, um, I remember standing at the valet stand and Nancy Reagan, it was her birthday party, and I'm wearing a cowboy shirt, a red bandana, and jeans. Yet I'm there technically as an illegal alien parking cars with an expired passport in my pocket. And here comes the President of the United States with his hand outstretched to me. And he says, "Hey, do you have any questions for me?" Now, what does the audience want to do at that point? Do they want to lean in and go,
I was gonna
"What's he
say lean
talking about?"
in. Yes,
Yeah,
right? Yes.
what? Illegal alien? President of the United States? Nancy, we know who Nancy Reagan is.
Mhm.
Most people do. So obviously the president is Ronald Reagan. What was he doing there? Valet, expired passport? I want to know more, right? And so, I mean, that's a true story, right? It happened to me. I was
I figured it was true. I didn't think you were just gonna pull something out. Yes.
yeah. And so nobody's skipping for the, nobody's reaching for the skip button,
Yeah.
to say, oh, let's move past that. No, they're locking in and saying, I don't want to miss this. I want to find out what this is all about. And it's a great story of how I met the President of the United States. Well, I was an illegal alien, and I asked him personally to help me overcome the red tape so that I could get my citizenship that I was told I would receive as a U.S. Marine and as a police officer. Right? And so now I'm adding additional facts. Now people want to know more. What? Marine, police, illegal alien, and now you're talking to the president. How'd you get to meet the president of the United States, right? They want to lean in. They want to know more. So that's a story that is not made up. Obviously, it's genuine. It's honest, and I'm telling it from my perspective. But I'm not sharing the whole story, saying, "Well, back in 1987, I was this, that, the other." Don't start there. Bring them right into the action. Give them a little bit of snippets, a little bit of mystery, and so that they'll lean in, and it just will make them want to uh, lean in and stay. It's the kind of story that reaches through the headphones and makes that person feel connected and wanting to know more.
This is so good. And Steve, I appreciate you so much because we do have an entire group, community where people are coming in. They want to get booked on podcasts. Hosts need guests for their podcasts. And so this is really valuable for our hosts as well, right? The better quality guests you have, the more successful your show will be. So yeah, this has been incredibly valuable. So before we let you go, though, I want to know what is one thing that you want everybody watching this to walk away with? Like we started, we want them to become the best guest that no one ever forgets. But what is the one thing you want to make sure that they walk away with?
Only one thing?
I know we yeah, we've got a whole lot of things, but let's bring it home.
Yeah, we've delivered a lot of magic in this very, very short time. But what I want, whether you're listening to this now, live, or a year from now, 5 years from now, wherever, whenever, what I want you to know is that your opportunity to take the seat or to sit in this chair as a guest is available to you right now. You don't even have to be on a show. And what I mean by that is before the mic goes hot, before the host hits record and that 60 seconds that we talked about, the guest seat is available to you in the preparation that you do tonight, the research that you do tomorrow, the pre-call that you take, even if you don't think that you're going to need it because you've done this 1,000 times and you don't need a pre-call with a host. Yes, you do. Take that pre-call because that host is going to show you, tell you, give you some insights as to what he or she is looking for and what they're wanting you to deliver so that you don't just run off at the mouth and bore the audience, right? So it's letting um, it's letting the audience know also when you do that that they're worth serving, right? By the way you show up. And so that the room, whoever built it as an opportunity for you to show up to honor the host and not to be there for yourself. And so that's what I mean by saying that the guest seat, which by the way is the name of the book, the guest seat is
Right?
available to you right now. The room is always there for you. The room has always been there for you, and now you just have to go and get it.
Oh, Steve. Well, so I got an email from Steve telling me that, so about our call, dot, 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 I may have written a book. And he had in the email not only the idea for the book, where the idea came from, stemmed from a book I had written, write the book on it. And he showed up with a book cover in hand. And not only that, but here was the gift that we were kind of vague about earlier. He actually put a quote from me on the book. Asked, my permission if he could share it, but showed up with a book cover with a quote from me. And the quote is, "The only guide you will ever need to actually show up and be extraordinary in any room." And so I love the gift. I love the book. I love the concept of the book, why we're doing it. Steve, when and where will we be able to grab a copy of this beautiful gem?
Well, first, I want to give kudos to you because your book, Write the Book on It, I've had this now for quite a bit now. And I wrote like a 20-star review on Amazon because you deserve it. But and I've read other books on how to write and those kinds of things. I have them over here on my shelf in my studio. But I love the way that you did this and it's such a simple, no nonsense. Get to the heart of it right away. Not a lot of fluff. You do talk about your journey, writing 16, 18, I think you're what, up to 18, 19 books now. And it's just such a beautiful way to talk about this topic. And so when we decided that we were going to do this particular episode, and I did some research and found there wasn't any material on this for the guests, I decided this is perfect. I'm going to write the book on it just like Angel said I should. And so that's what we did. So I'm so grateful that you've agreed to do the foreword, to write the foreword, and I love it. And so, in answer to your question, we're going to have the book released probably in about 10 to 15 days, and I will let you know. And of course, we will share it with the Podlicity community.
I love it. I love it, Steve. Anything else you want for them to follow you, grab, take action on?
Yes, absolutely. I would love for you to contact Angel, Angel Tuccy, however you choose to contact her via email, phone call, show up at her door, fly into Orlando, take her to dinner, because you heard she loves accepting invitations to dinner from people that are visiting Orlando. And if you have tickets in hand to Disney World too, make sure you have enough for her kids. But seriously, get a hold of Angel and just thank her for producing this. The Podlicity community, this particular program, it's done for you, not for me. Well, okay, maybe a little bit for me, and not for her certainly because she doesn't need us. She doesn't need you and me. She's got so much going on, a beautiful family, beautiful career, but she's doing this because she wants to give back and she wants to help other people succeed in the way that others have helped her succeed. So thank Angel for producing this show. And if you want to get a hold of me, um, you can find me steviegsuccess.com on any of the social media channels.
I love it. Well, Steve, thanks so much for being our guest today, for hosting this masterclass here inside the Podlicity Library. This is for you. There's a wealth of experts and influencers and promoters here inside the community. And so I just love that you took the time out of your day to pour into this group. So follow his instructions, watch this a couple of times so that you become the guest that no one forgets. And I'll see you inside the group. Cheers.